All right, well, bass guitar major scales, that's what we're going to cover today, and that's what you're going to learn. We're going to learn a few of the major scales of the major scales. So stick around for that. And if you're new to my channel here, I want to play bass, subscribe, hit that bell notification, get in the loop, don't miss a beat. I've got lots of good bass guitar tips and lessons and gear reviews and occasional giveaways. So definitely subscribe and get in the loop. You don't want to miss a beat. And I'm Donald Witt, the bass instructor of the How to Play Bass online course at iwanttoPlayBass.com. Jump over there, subscribe, become a member for free, and when you're serious about your bass playing, sign up and get well on your way to reaching your goals. Okay? So, back to bass guitar major scales. Now, if you've seen the previous two videos I've got on the other two major scales, then I'll leave a card up here for you so you can check both of those out. Now, I covered the major scale, the major scale of all major scales, the Ionian major scale. This is the one it all is evolved around. Western music evolves around this major scale right here. Now I talked about the second, there's another major scale inside of the major scale, and that is the Lydian. Now today I'm going to talk about the third one of that, and then in the next few videos coming up I'll jump into the minor modes of the major scale. So we've done the major scale, we've done Lydian, and today we're going to talk about this one that's used a lot, and it's a nice sounding scale, very enjoyable and very good to use over dominant 7 chords as opposed to just going to the blues scale. So today is the Mixolydian. That is a very nice one, very constant, good sounding. You know, there's no tension. It can be used in a couple instances, as opposed to the Lydian where you're just going to use over the sharp 11 chord. When you see a sharp 11 or an augmented 4th chord, you're not limited. I mean, you see the Mixolydian used not as much, but it's over dominant 7 chords. You see a lot of dominant 7 chords in a lot of music. Definitely jazz, definitely blues. You see those. That dominant 7 is used a lot. It's what they created back in the jazz and the evolution of jazz, and when that started to come around to push you outside of the keys, you know, so you're not stuck in one key. They threw a dominant 7. They just threw that dominant 7 in there because it works all the time, and it pushes you into another key. So you see a lot of dominant 7s where, like I said, the Lydian, you don't see as many sharp 11s. A nice sounding chord, but you don't use it as much. The dominant 7 chord is a very good tool to use in compositions and jazz stuff like that you're writing. So you're going to see that a lot more, and the scale you can use over top of that is the Mixolydian scale. Whoops. Now I'll play those 3 major scales right here over to C so you can really hear the difference in them. So starting with the major scale, then the Lydian, and then I'll play the Mixolydian, and it'll be in C. So okay, so the major scale. So here's the major scale. So you can hear the difference in the 2 and the 3. The major scale, just nice sounding. The Lydian scale has that sharp 4, that little tritone in there, and you can hear that come across. Just hear it sounds out, right? And then the Mixolydian does not have that. Doesn't have that tension anywhere in that scale. That's why it's good to use, and it's very nice, pleasing to the ear, nice sounding. Is what we've grown to what we listen to. We've acquired the sound to. That's very appealing, right there. And you see it over dominant 7 chords all day long. Now that is, you know, a scale you can use for like writing. You come across that part and you throw a dominant 7 chord in there. You know, it's nice melodies. The blue scale is great for soloing because it has that tension, that blue note there over those dominant 7 chords. But if you don't want to go you know, you don't want to give that feel, use the mixolydian. It works perfect, and it's got a very nice color, nice nice aura to it. So that's the mixolydian scale. Like I say, what makes it the dominant scale is this dominant 7 right here, you know, and it doesn't really resolve as opposed to the major scale. The 7th is a half step above the root, so it pushes it to the root. You know, it gives you a home, where the dominant, the mixolydian, doesn't have that. It's just kind of, you could stay in there all day and not really resolve. You feel like you got to resolve to anywhere. But that dominant 7 chord, when you throw that in there, it has that 3rd, which is the 7th of the root, the Ionian scale, the main scale you're in. So that's why it's great for resolving to the 1 chord. Okay, so when you get the dominant chord, just makes you want to resolve it to the major chord. So that's why this note right here is the 7th of the G, right? Okay, so we're in the key of G, right? G major scale, Ionian scale right here. The 5th degree of that is the mixolydian. All right, so in a dominant 7 chord, we'll use D7, for instance, because we're in the key of G, right? So we've got D, F sharp, A, and C, okay? Now in a G major 7 chord, the root, the tonic of the G major scale is G, B, D, and F sharp. And what's the 3rd of the D dominant 7 chord, or the dominant 7 chord? Is the 7th of the G. That's our tone. It's pushing us to the G. So that's why you see dominant 7 chords all day long to resolve us to the 1 chord. 2, 5, 1s are all over the place, and that 5 resolves to the 1 because of that 3rd, that tension pushing us to that G. Okay, and then the yeah, so that's why you get it. But when it comes to that dominant 7 chord, you can use this mixolydian scale, and it doesn't give you that tension to move all over the place. You could hang around on that dominant chord a little longer, as opposed to feeling like you got to resolve immediately to the G. And you can do it with the blues scale as well, but the blues scale adds that tension, that half step above the root, that blue note, the sharp 4 or augmented 4 or flatted 5. But the mixolydian does not have that tension there, so it's nice. You know, just feel like you can hang around in there. You don't feel like you're pushing anywhere. You're riding out of the piece at all. You're right in line. So that's a good purpose and a good reason to use the mixolydian. If you want to stay within the compounds of the G major scale or of the major scale, just use the mixolydian. You know, if you're not trying to write something that's out, sounds out, you know, and you don't want to push the limits, you just want to stay within the major, then that's what you're going to go to, the mixolydian. Okay, so whenever you see a dominant 7 chord, and the pattern, I don't think I showed you the pattern. This is a standard pattern, just like the Lydian is the pattern to the Lydian is 1, 3rd, 1, 2nd finger, 3rd, 4th finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, where the mixolydian is 2nd finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger. Okay, so that pattern right there. So memorize that pattern, and you know, get your little loop going. And then play the mixolydian over. So just get you something simple. Like I said, I want to see that little loop I'd had previously done. It's just in C, but just get you something going and just play that mixolydian over it, master it, get it down, and use it whenever you see a dominant 7 coming up. So I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, mash that like button for me and help me help you, and I'll catch you all on the flip-flop in the next video. So bye for now.